In this video, I'm going to show you the fastest skilling-based invention training method in the game. Whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Over 60% of my viewers aren't subscribed, and as I'm closing in on that big 100,000 subscriber milestone, I'd like to remind you to subscribe. Let's move on. The method to gain the fastest skilling invention experience in the game involves the smithing skill, and while the skill itself may be a little bit confusing to understand at first mechanically, this method is incredibly straightforward. We are going to be smithing Burial Elder Rune armor sets, as this is the best smithing experience in the game. For those unfamiliar with burial smithing is a type of smithing on the forges in the back of the artisan's workshop where you smith the highest upgraded version of the armor once more for astonishing experience rates. The only downside to burial smithing is that you lose the armor you just smithed to obtain those high experience rates, in this case losing Elder Rune plus 5 sets. So yes, before you ask, this method is very expensive. Before we get into the method's details, I suggest you have the following requirements: 99 smithing for the skill cape, 99 fire making for maximum heat, 22 plus invention for obvious reasons, and super heat form to be unlocked from the Light Within quest. In terms of a setup or an example of what to bring along, you can look on screen now. Pretty much everything you can see on screen is going to be useful to you for this method in some shape or form by either increasing your smithing experience per hour or by increasing your invention experience per hour. The most important things here are the power burst of Master Stroke, the XP capacitor, which basically gives you double invention experience, the smithing skill cape for more progress, the Hammertron, or even better, the Crystal Hammer, with invention perks such as Tinker 4 and Rapid 4 for more experience, the Perfect Juju Smithing Potion for again more progress, and this can be sipped once and simply banked right after, Prayer Renewals to keep your super heat form at the max, or alternatively you can use an Ancient Elven Ritual Shard, and Luminite Injectors, which if you don't have any from those portable skilling packs, you can simply log into World 70, and there should be a constant stream of these active, which you can see on your buff bar. Hammertrons can be found in the skilling support section of your invention workbench after having discovered the blueprint, and will cost you around 1 million GP worth of components. Unlike the Crystal Hammer, it doesn't need to be augmented, and you can simply add the perks you need to this item straight away. Crystal Hammers, which require 150 Harmonic Dust, 1 Crystal Tool Seed, and level 80 Smithing, can be created in Profidenas. That being said, unless you have thousands of Crystal Tool Seeds and dust lying around, the Hammertron will be your go-to pick for invention experience. Okay, so what is the method like? Well, for the AFK one, essentially what you do is you make a bunch of unfinished Elder Burial sets, and you start smashing away. Before you get going, don't forget to sip your Perfect Juju Smithing Potion, use a Prayer Renewal, and if you're using a Power Burst of Master Stroke, don't forget to use that whenever it gets off cooldown. This way you're going to progress through your items much faster, therefore increasing your smithing and invention experience per hour. Now, while this is an AFK method, you're going to want to heat up your item as soon as you hit 30% heat, indicated by the orange bar being 2/3 blue, and your experience drops decreasing. Why 30%? Well, your super heat form prayer allows you to gain experience as if your item was at high heat, even when your heat drops to around the middle. If you want to completely AFK, you're going to want to use the Advanced Smithing Auto Heater, which you can buy for Dungeoneering tokens, as this item knocks you all the way back up to 60% heat once you hit 0% for the price of 50 coal. If you use your power bursts as soon as they are off cooldown and fill up your heat manually before it drops to 30% or lower, you should be able to finish a whole set in a little bit over 5 minutes. If that isn't fast enough for you, you can do the superheat item spam method instead. This method is practically the same thing, except you're going to need to be on the normal spellbook and have a good chunk of nature and fire runes in your inventory. You're going to keybind the superheat item spell and mash that keybind while clicking the unfinished burial sets in your inventory. While this doesn't directly increase experience, it does increase the speed at which you finish the item, effectively increasing your experience per hour by around 20 to 25%. An additional benefit to this method is that your item will always be at maximum heat, so you're not going to need to reheat the item or use a smithing auto heater. This spammy method will allow you to complete an Elder Rune burial set in a little bit over 4 minutes. Okay, so what is the experience like? Well, starting with the smithing experience, based on my times in super optimal conditions, you would be able to get 11.9 Elder Burial sets done per hour, with the regular AFK method, and 14.8 if you were to use the spam method. Now in reality, these numbers are going to be a little bit lower, but this means you'd be able to get a basic speed rate of around 2.3 million smithing experience per hour and almost 2.9 with the spammy method. Now, like I said, in reality, you're probably going to have a little break, or you're going to have a slow bank, or you're going to get sweaty, and in reality, you're probably going to get around 2 to 2.7 million base smithing experience per hour, which is absolutely nutty. You can, of course, increase the experience per hour by buying the Artisan's Respect upgrades, giving up to 5% more experience, Torso Incense Sticks, Premier Artifact, Double XP, and so on. In terms of GP per XP for smithing, this method, based on my 9.5 million GP cost per Rune Plus 5 set of boots, gloves, legs, bodies, and helms, it was around 50 GP per XP. This would be 25 GP per XP on Double XP, which means you'd be spending around 2.3 billion GP for 120 on Double XP. And that's excluding the cost of Hammertrons if you also want to gain Invention experience. I honestly don't think it's too bad considering how fast this method is, but there's no denying it's a method for the rich. Now, I said this is the best skilling invention experience per hour in the game, and I'm not kidding. With no boosts, only using the Tinker 4 perk on your Hammertron, you're able to gain 192 to 239,000 item experience per hour, which is the equivalent of 2.2 to 2.74 million invention experience per hour. Why? Because you're able to disassemble a Hammertron for 459,000 invention experience at level 10. Now that might not sound amazing to you, but you can increase that invention item experience per hour, therefore increasing your invention experience per hour by so much more. There's an item called the XP Capacitor, which you can buy charged off the Grand Exchange, which will be able to give you 100% more experience when you're doing this method. Alternatively, you can use empty ones to fill up and then sell for money, but that's not, part of this method. You use this item and you gain 4.4 to 5.5 million invention experience per hour. Double XP events give you 50% more experience, therefore 1.5 times the amount of experience per hour compared to the regular, no boosts rate. But even better, and this is going to blow your mind, using an XP capacitor and a double XP event, you can gain 3 times as much experience as you would be getting without a capacitor and without double XP, resulting in an experience rate of 6.6 to 8.2 million invention experience per hour, depending on if you're doing the semi-AFK or spammy method. And you can increase that experience per hour even more by getting the Enlightened 4 perk on your Hammertron, effectively increasing your item experience per hour by 12%. That is crazy. Now, if crushing a dozen Hammertrons per hour isn't your thing and you'd prefer to siphon your Crystal Hammer at level 12, the experience rates for that method are on screen now. They're slightly lower, but still very good. So there you have it. You're able to gain insane amounts of invention experience per hour, which you can increase even more if you're willing to spend over 25 million GP per hour more on XP capacitors and Hammertrons. A thank you to a player called BS Lucky for suggesting this method to me nearly half a year ago, and with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.